Game on, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Box Score Radio, brought to you by the Keaton Podcasting Network. I'm your host, Jay Keaton. It is Thursday, March 7th, 2019. It is Friday Eve. I'm very excited for this weekend. Big UFC fight night this weekend. Dos Santos versus Derek Lewis. That should be a good one. Got some good college basketball. It's the last weekend before conference tournaments start, so that should be very interesting. A lot of good rivalry games happening this weekend. But first, as always, we're going to start by talking about the sports that happened yesterday. NBA action. The Heat defeat the Hornets 91-84. Kelly Olynyk came out of nowhere. 22 points, 11 rebounds for the Heat. Kemba Walker had 20 points for the Hornets. Field goals were key here. The Heat were 38 of 91. The Hornets were 30 of 82. Points in the paint, also big for the Heat. They had 48. The Hornets had only 24. Pistons over the Timberwolves, 131-114. Andre Drummond, 31 points, 15 rebounds, led the way for Detroit. Karl Anthony Towns had 24 points, 4 rebounds. That's actually an off night for him. He's usually averaging like 35 and 15. Field goals, again, huge. 50 of 93 were for the Pistons. I cannot talk today. I'm sorry, guys. And the Timberwolves were 41 of 84. Wizards over the Mavericks, 132-123. Bradley Beal had 30 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds for Washington. Luka Doncic, 31 points, 11 rebounds for the Mavericks. He's always hitting at least 20, around 30 points a game. He's a stud. Stats were actually pretty even, a couple of field goals here or there, and that allowed Washington to win the game. Spurs over the Hawks, 111-104. LaMarcus Aldridge, 32 points, 9 rebounds, led the way for the Spurs. John Collins had 18 and 10, a double-double for Atlanta. Field goal percentage was the difference here. The Spurs shot 49%. The Hawks shot 39%. All right, Nets over the Cavs, 113-107. Spencer Dinwiddie, 28 points, 5 assists for Brooklyn. Kevin Love, he came out of nowhere. He came out of hiding, really. 24 points, 16 rebounds, a double-double for Cleveland. Points in the paint were the difference here. The Nets had 58, the Cavs have 38. Neither team's really a good outside shooting team, so it makes sense they'd win based on inside play. Bulls over the Sixers, 108-107. Zach LaVine, 39 points for Chicago. And Ben Simmons had a double-double, had 18 and 11 for Philadelphia. Jazz over the Pelicans, 114-104. Donovan Mitchell, 22 points, 7 rebounds. Donovan Mitchell, I'll tell you what, he reminds me so much of Kawhi Leonard. He's so close to being a star. He just needs a couple of breakout games and performances. But, like I've said before, Utah, a solid organization. From top to bottom. Never have the greatest players, but they're always right in the thick of things in the playoffs. And Donovan Mitchell, he's going to be a stud one day. If he can just keep his head on straight and keep getting better, he's right there. He's close. Julius Randle led the way for the Pelicans, 23 points, 6 rebounds. Again, points in the paint were huge here. 70 for the Jazz, 54 for the Pelicans. Suns over the Knicks, 107-94. I don't know why the hell I didn't write the score down. I believe it was 107-96. Excuse me. Devin Booker led the way, 41 points for the Suns. DeAndre Jordan had 17 and 14 for the Knicks. This was the battle of the two worst teams in the NBA, one for the East, one for the West. Suns have now won 4 out of their last 5. It's amazing that they start playing well, 5 games after being officially eliminated from the playoffs. If I'm a Suns fan, I'm so freaking pissed right now. 3-point shooting was key in this game. The Suns were 12 of 29. The Knicks were 6 of 15. The Knicks also had 22 turnovers for the game. Celtics over the Kings, 111-109. Al Horford had 21 and 11 for Boston. And Harrison Barnes had 24 points, 8 rebounds for Sacramento. I had a feeling that this one would be close. The Celtics would be riding high after the win against Golden State. And we'll see if they can put together a couple of great wins. See what they can get some momentum going into the playoffs. Nuggets over the Lakers, 115-99. Will Barton, 23 points, 5 assists for Denver. LeBron had 31, 7 and 7. And it was also big news because he passed Jordan for like third or fourth all-time in scoring. And he should hold on to the accomplishments because he's not going to get another championship. He doesn't have the team. He doesn't have the tools anymore. So as long as he can get stats, that's the only way he can continue the argument of I'm the best ever. But we all know the truth that it's never going to come down to him and Jordan because, quite frankly, when you double a man in championships, you have more MVPs, and you're right there with them. You're one place behind him in scoring. There's no way you can really compare. But, it's still an accomplishment in and of itself, and you got to give him respect for that. Nobody knew exactly how good he was going to be. Nobody knows exactly how any of these players are going to be. But to, pass Kareem in stats and I think with like double-doubles, triple-doubles or something in the playoffs, and then passing Jordan in scoring, that means a hell of a lot. So congratulations, LeBron. However, the Lakers are in free fall right now and are on the verge of missing the playoffs. Okay. Let's talk some men's college hoops. There's only 2 games to talk about, but they were good ones. Number 10 LSU won in overtime against Florida, 79-78. I was wrong on this prediction, but barely. I predicted Florida to upset them, and they should have, but they fell short. Tremont Waters led the way for LSU, 19 points, 6 assists. Jalen Hudson for Florida, he did his part. He had 33 points, but Gators fell short in overtime. LSU's a dangerous team, I'm telling you. The way they played against Kentucky, they got upsets against Kentucky and Tennessee. They're running through the rest of the SEC. They're going to be dangerous. The SEC's, you watch out for the SEC come March Madness. They're going to be pretty good in the tournament. Seton Hall upsets number 16 Marquette. Again, Marquette, another team just slowly on a slide right now. They were top 10 2 weeks ago. Now they're on the verge of getting knocked out of the top 25 if they're not careful. Miles Powell, 34 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists for Seton Hall. Sam Hauser was the leading man for Marquette, 25 points, 9 rebounds. Difference here, free throws. Seton Hall was 17 of 23. Marquette only had 7 made free throws, and also they had 18 turnovers, which was their undoing. All right. No women's college scores to talk about. They're starting their conference tournament play right now, and it's just unranked teams, and I'm not going to get into that. There's way too much to get into. So let's jump over to hockey scores from yesterday. Capitals over the Flyers, 5-3. Canucks in overtime over the Maple Leafs, 3-2. Blues over the Ducks, 5-4, and the Golden Knights take out the Flames, 2-1. All right, well, Tampa Bay's got 51 wins on the season. But I don't know. I like Vegas's chances this year. Something tells me, I got a feeling if I had to pick one team right now, I think Vegas is somehow going to get to the Stanley Cup Finals and win it all. That's my early prediction, and I reserve the right to change it throughout the playoffs. And speaking of the playoffs, let's check out the wild cards right now. Eastern Conference standings. Atlantic, remember, these are the top 8 teams get in. 3 from the Atlantic, 3 from the Metropolitan, and 2 wild cards. Eastern Conference Atlantic, Tampa Bay, Boston, and Toronto. From the Metropolitan, you got Washington, the Islanders, and Carolina. Wild cards right now, Pittsburgh and Montreal. Right behind them, the Blue Jackets and Philadelphia. Western Conference Central Division, you got Nashville, Winnipeg, St. Louis. Pacific Division, you got Calgary, San Jose, and Vegas. And the wild cards are Dallas and Minnesota. Right behind them, you got Colorado and Arizona. All right, that does it for NHL scores. Speaking of NHL, games to watch tonight, you got the Penguins taking on the Blue Jackets. I'm going to take the Penguins at home. In the NBA, really good basketball games. Pacers taking on the Bucks. That should be a good one. I'm gonna take Milwaukee at home, but barely in a close one. And the Thunder travel to Portland to take on the Trailblazers. Man, I'm just waiting for Paul George. I really like Paul George. I'm just waiting for him to have a breakout game. I'm gonna say it's tonight. I'm gonna say Oklahoma defeats the Trailblazers, and Paul George is the leading scorer. And finally, NCAA men's basketball. Number 20 Cincinnati takes on number 25 UCF. This is UCF's first week in the top 25 rankings. That's usually never a good sign. I'm going to say Cincinnati gets them tonight. Cincinnati wins this one. I'll predict the score 82-76. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that does it for Box Score Radio. Be sure to tune in to tomorrow's show. We'll be giving predictions for this weekend's final regular season of college basketball, predictions on the NBA, and also we're looking forward to UFC Fight Night Saturday night between Derek Lewis and Junior Dos Santos. That should be a good one, so be sure to tune in. Remember, you can listen to Box Score Radio at Podbean or on YouTube, and you can also follow Box Score Radio on Twitter at Box Score Radio. Thanks for listening, guys, and I will catch you